That was beautiful.
Welcome back, Sparklers, to another episode of Ignite Your Spark. I'm your host, Kim Duff Selby. I am here to ignite the spark within each and every one of you listening to this podcast. And if your spark is ignited, I certainly hope that you will share these episodes because my goal is to fill the world with light. And when I encourage you to ignite your spark, you're glowing. Even though you may not know it, you are glowing and you are giving permission to others to glow. And then we can have a light-filled world. And the time is right now. I am here to be a bringer of light and a spark igniter. And today, so is my guest. Rachel Madorsky is my guest today. And I do like to tell a little bit about my guest, but it's more important what they have to say. But I do think it's cool because Rachel is a best-selling author, a speaker, a psychotherapist, an executive coach, and she helps women give themselves everything they wanted in life right now. I mean, come on. Now, the other fun fact is that she loves improv. And if you've been listening to my podcast, or if you haven't, it's new to you, I love improv. I'm a big, I want to say improver, but I have studied the art of improvisational theater for many years. And I know Rachel has too. And I'm sure that we will bring a lot of that into our conversation because we are improving our conversation. And let's get started. Welcome, Rachel, to Ignite Your Spark.
Oh my gosh, Kim, thank you so much. So happy to be here. I did not know you were an improviser, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this conversation.
I know. Well, we won't do any exercises, although I really do encourage people to step outside their comfort zone. So many people are afraid of improv, or afraid of being silly or afraid of being seen in a way that they don't feel they want to be seen in, and that's not authentic. That's how I feel about improv, and it challenges your brain, doesn't it?
I mean, I was one of those people for years. Actually, I went to undergraduate school to be an actor. And I remember there was a group doing improv and I watched them and I thought, I will never, ever do that, ever. The thought of going on stage without being having a script just was insane to me. And it was actually many, many, many years later when I was in private practice that I actually found myself a depressed therapist, me. And I said, I really need a laugh. What am I going to do? And I thought, okay, I'm going to take an improv class. And it completely changed my life.
I love the fact that you were self-aware enough to know that you needed to laugh to get out of your depression, because sometimes when people that I've, in my experience, who are in the midst of depression, especially as we age, because I really talk a lot about igniting your spark in midlife and beyond. And sometimes people don't realize they're so far in the throes of depression that they don't know that a laugh, watching a silly movie, just anything to get you out of that focus on yourself really helps. And you did. So, but you are a psychotherapist, so you know these things.
Thanks. Well, thanks for I appreciate what you're saying. I think, and this is something I talk about in the book, but we're not actually often taught how to tune in and just ask ourselves specifically what we need. Everyone's talking about what you should do or could do, but we don't often tune in and actually just ask ourselves.
Right. You're right. Before we go into all that in your book,
Yes.
Yourself, I would love to ask you a question if you don't mind. And that is, it is an interview, so of course you don't mind. But how do you ignite your spark?
Oh, I follow the joy. I follow whatever lights me up. I go outside every morning. I take a big, deep breath. I tune into the nature that's around me. I love being around greenery. I love to laugh. My husband and I, during the pandemic, discovered that you could do karaoke from your television if you have YouTube. And so we do karaoke on our couch. Anything spontaneous ignites my spark.
That's great. I love asking people that question who don't know I'm going to ask that. Now, a lot of people do know if they've listened to an episode or so, because I ask every single guest that, because I like to know. And I love knowing a spontaneous answer, because if you've planned it, it doesn't ring true, but that rang true. And I love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's talk about how to love yourself. I mean, that, as you said, it's so important for us to be aware, to be awake, and to love ourselves. And what motivated you to write this book? Not that this is a podcast about authors, but I'm curious because I love the title, How to Love Yourself. We all need to know that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, this might give you a little clue because the full title is How to Love Yourself in Less Than a Week and also for the rest of your life.
Ooh.
And for me, the reason why I wanted to write the book is when I could feel it was time to write. And I just asked myself, what's the message that I have that I'd most want to deliver, the most impactful, loving message I could deliver? And this was it. And how I discovered loving yourself is when I was around 19, 20, 21, around there. Again, I was depressed and I was doing a lot of personal growth. And I remember this woman in a course, she just leaned over to me. She was so beautiful. And she said to me, all of this would get better if you would love yourself.
Mm.
And I remember thinking in that moment two things. One, I think this woman just gave me the cure, like gave me the keys to the castle. It was so relieving. And simultaneously, I felt, I don't know what she's talking about. I have no idea how to do that. And it took years for me to find my own way, even though I was helping others and living life and all these things were happening. But it actually took a long time to uncover this idea that I'm going to share with you now, that loving ourselves is a practice. It's a tangible thing. There's things that we can do to cultivate actual self-love. And the result of that is that we are then able to be more authentic, more powerful, and be receivers of everything we ever wanted in life, and more powerful, authentic givers, because we are no longer giving from the depletion
Mm-hmm.
or any sacrifice. We're giving from the overflow.
Mm. Do you think that some people are able to love themselves because of the way they were raised and vice versa? Perhaps people did not receive love as a child and feel their own value and their own self-worth, so they aren't able to give it to themselves because no one else gave it to them.
Yes. Here's the kind of tricky part. I think we all show up here as loving beings, and we are already loving ourselves. And absolutely, I call this a freebie. So the freebie is when you have one or two parents that did a really nice job of loving you, you kind of already have a sense of feeling loved. It might not even occur to you that you might need to love yourself. I don't know. We're all on different areas in that spectrum. Here's like another freebie. My dad was very nurturing. He was attentive and patient and nurturing and loving. And I call it a freebie because it was very natural for me to attract someone who was loving and gentle and nurturing and patient. And I also experienced a lot of neglect when I was growing up.
Mm.
And those wounds, those places where we weren't mothered well, are the places as we get older where we have the opportunity to learn how to mother ourselves well.
So I'm guessing your mother was not quite the nurturer your father was, since you use that term mothering ourselves.
Yes, my mom, who I love very much, and we have been on an incredible journey in this lifetime. When I was very young, she was very depressed. She was addicted to drugs. We had this crazy life. And I experienced actually needing to be the mother right away.
Mm.
So I did a lot of caretaking, and it taught me really quick how to be a really good therapist.
Yeah, I bet. It is no surprise that that's what you ended up studying. It is interesting. I feel that I was nurtured and loved by both parents. And then I found out I was adopted at the age of 22 when my mom died. So, there is that. And yet I personally, not that I want to make it about me, I did always feel worthy of my own love. So I feel very fortunate in that. Now, there are times throughout our lives, conditioning, you feel less than, your spark is dimmed, that everybody is going to feel. Everybody, I don't care who you are. And that's when we have to call upon those inner resources that I'm sure you help us with in your book and in your practice and in your coaching. Do you feel that self-love, as I do, is really the key to evolving any kind of relationships? Because you first have to love yourself.
Yes. I mean, I do want to break the myth a little bit. Like everything is a little bit, I think, of a paradox. You can attract and have a loving relationship while you're working on loving yourself. We're never done. Like this is an unlimited, how much we can love ourselves is unlimited, and you can have a wonderful relationship. And there was a time where my focus was specifically working with couples, and I had a waiting list. I really was passionate about helping couples. And I started to see that regardless of what the presenting issue might be in the relationship, ultimately it come back down to the relationship we have with ourselves. And the more we can really say yes to ourselves and tune into ourselves and give ourselves what we want because we love ourselves, the quicker and easier the relationships were able to flourish. And that's actually when I started shifting my focus to helping women and CEOs and entrepreneurs use loving themselves as a way to make more money, grow their business, live their ideal life, and be the happy, fulfilled human we're all allowed to be.
I do want to focus and go back to the money aspect as we spoke a little bit about it. My podcast and my goal is to encourage women over a certain age to do just what you're saying, because societal norms, expectations, limitations often, and I speak from experience, dictate to us that we are not worthy once we reach a certain age. Now, I know it's changing. I know it is. But I think self-love is even more important as we see the wrinkles and the brown spots and, experience more of what true aging on the body, because our body ages. We can't help that. We can do what we can to slow down the process and keep as healthy as we can. But to me, self-love is so critical at this point in midlife and beyond.
Absolutely. I mean, you're actually to me saying two very powerful things. One is exactly what you just said. In this aging process, love is required, self-love required. I mean, it's every day is a new thing depending on where you are, right? I mean, and so in that specific way, self-love is required. But also, wherever we are in life, whatever our particular situation is, whatever we're going through, if we can add love to it, it will make it go better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. And you often hear that the purpose of our being here in this earth suit at this time is to love, to share love, experience love, give love. And I love that you say it starts with us, or I said that, but loving yourself is vital. And I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs and women in leadership. And I don't know exactly what my demographics of my audience are. Some people I know do not work anymore. They're retired, but some people are probably mostly entrepreneurs who listen. And I know that money is such a huge focus on earth. And I know that money is energy. And there is enough energy, money for everyone. It's a difficult concept for all of us to really absorb. What's your take on the relationship of love and money, and maybe some tips on how we can, I don't know, get rich, get filthy rich?
I love it. Well, tip number one is to recognize when we have and say things like filthy rich. Filthy rich is a cultural terminology that a lot of us have been given, and it slows us down. So it's actually our relationship with money is really important, not because money is so important, but because money is so important. I mean, I know that might not make sense. We live in a world where it helps to have a lot of money. The more money we have, the more we can use it as a tool for our freedom, to fund our dreams, our generosity, to make a difference, to live the life we want. There is nothing bad about money. And even that idea of filthy rich, right? Like that, if that's in our subconscious somewhere, we're actually going to keep it away because we don't want to be filthy rich.
Right. And do you know that I don't think I've ever said that word? I mean, that terminology. I do not know where that came from. Obviously, it came out because it needed to be discussed. And words are things. I mean, words are so powerful. I do know we need to change that, our focus on some of the words that we say. It's so interesting that I said that because I've never said that before. But
You said it as a gift, Kim. You said it as a gift for like all of us that are listening because it's still somewhere. For some of us, it's at the forefront, and some of us, it's just way, way back there.
it's there.
And it's there. So how money is really, I think love and money are very much related.
Hmm.
And the reason is because everyone is worthy of having more money, and your life would be easier if you had more money. Can you make your life easier before you have more money? Yes. And also, you're allowed to have money. And anything we block or resist or judge, we keep away from ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So bless the people you see that have a lot of money. Money is like a knife. A knife can cut a yummy meal for you, or it can hurt somebody. It's the person that's using it. And too many women have been kept out of knowledge around money. And all of us, it's a taboo, right? Don't talk about money. But this is one of my favorite rules to break. And I like to say it like this. Imagine we're sitting with like some of our favorite girlfriends, and you already know the vibe. It's like it's happy, we're laughing, we can be real, we can be ourselves. We're going to talk about our relationships, we're going to talk about food, we're going to talk about clothes, we're going to talk about life. What if we also spoke about money and shared openly about money with that same joyful, free, honest energy, and actually celebrated each other making money and sharing our ideas about how to make money? And all of this became a more shared, normal, loving experience.
Beautiful. You're right. As you're saying that, I'm thinking it has been taboo to speak about money for many years. It's just something you didn't discuss. And especially when I was growing up, I don't believe that I was ever told specifically we don't talk about money, but I guess I got that. I got that impression that I grew up in a very upper middle class. We had plenty of everything. I never felt a lack of anything. And yet, for some reason, I grew up with the idea you don't talk about money. And I don't know where my sense of lack came from, probably in later years as I was struggling to be an actor. And, money didn't flow freely and effortlessly in that arena when I was in my 20s. And I guess we all just get that conditioning. And so many parents would say things, mine did not, but I know money doesn't grow on trees. You'd always get that negative talk. How do we increase our positive self-talk around money?
We make new beliefs and we practice them very gently. We don't force feed beliefs that we don't think are true. We don't, but I would like, even money does grow on trees. Money is made out of paper. Paper comes from trees. Money grows on trees. And I'll try to give a few tips right now, just some tangible tips. But how money works is through saying it's okay to have. That's really the first thing. I'm allowed to have money. And we can do things to improve our relationship with money. This is the first one, and we mentioned this a moment ago, is actually beginning to notice the thoughts we think and the words we speak. Are the thoughts we're thinking and the words we're speaking, do they feel abundant? Do they make us feel rich?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they make us feel constricted? The things we don't say, if there's something we're not supposed to talk about, often creates shame.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people have experienced so many different kinds of shame around money. And some of us have experienced in one lifetime many different. For example, I've had shame about not having money. I've had shame about having debt. I've had shame about getting out of debt. I've had shame about how much money I have.
Yeah. No, I
I
get
mean,
I totally understand that. Yes, you're right. It is our relationship with money. I think we have to treat it as beautifully as we treat a relationship with a beloved animal or child or spouse.
yes. So the first, if for anyone who is experiencing debt, the thing that turned that around for me, again, it was like this inner game thing. Side note, I really believe everything is 90% inner game and 10% the actions we take that are aligned.
Mhm.
So the first thing I did that changed everything for me was instead of looking at the debt as something bad, wrong, or I'm bad, or I'm wrong, I actually started to appreciate. I looked at the debt and was able to see, thanks to a wonderful coach, that these are all things I gave myself.
Mhm.
This is how I took care of myself. Every single thing that debt went toward was something I wanted.
Mhm.
And so instead of feeling bad if I could like appreciate it and love it, new ways of how to reduce the debt will come. And that's what happened for me. I was $80,000 in debt, and now I have more money in the bank than I've ever thought I was going to have. And the beginning was the relationship.
Yeah. I will share this that my mother used to do. And this is why I'm surprised I don't really have a lot of beliefs around lack, but I'm surprised because my mother would take a bill back in the day when you wrote a check and put it in an envelope. And she would say, I always bless the receiver for this. She would put it in, and I can't, something like that. I mean, it's been a long time since my mother passed away. I'm a much, 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 much older. And put it in there and say, you always bless the receiver for what you have received from this money, and pay it that way. And I love that. And I do that now online, when I'm paying my bills and I go, I spent that much this month. And I say, yeah, look at all the things it got me. Look at that. You would just look at your statements. Don't freak out. Just go, oh yeah, I love that blouse I bought. That's so cute. Or that dinner was amazing with my son. I'm so glad I was able to treat him. I need to do that more. And I think we all do, but I I just feel like I was given that gift that I need to put into practice more.
That is such a beautiful thing to share, Kim. Thank you for speaking that. It actually speaks to the energetics of money. So let's just talk about this for a minute. So this is scientific. And this is also experiential. If you go into a music store and you pluck the C string of a guitar, all of the C strings will vibrate. We are vibrational beings. I know that sounds very woo-woo. I mean, it does sound woo-woo to me too, except now that I understand the science a little more, it's reality. What does that have to do with anything? Well, anyone listening, when you told that story about your mom blessing the receiver, it has such a beautiful quality to it energetically. You can just feel it. And when we attach that kind of beautiful quality to anything that we are doing, it will do two things. One, it's going to make us feel good and relaxed. And two, it's going to put something positive out in the world. And when we do that, we cannot help but to receive more of that,
Mhm. Yeah,
whatever we're putting out.
right. Now we're a little woo here, so just so
Great. I
okay.
love the woo.
I love the woo, and I am not apologizing for it. For many years, I hid the woo in my life, and now I speak the woo because everybody's speaking the woo now. Those who have come out of the woo closet, like I did,
Oh,
and
wait. I love what you're saying. So let me, if I can, a lot of us have mothers and they had mothers. So we have mothers, grandmothers, great grandmothers that worked
Mhm.
so hard. And I love this idea. I think, as women especially, we have a generosity in us, although we're always feeling like we aren't giving enough, or someone's making us feel like we need to give more. That's another rule I'd like to break. You can give generously to yourself, and I promise you will give generously to others if you put yourself first. But there's this idea that what we do for ourselves, not only do we do for each other, but we do for the people that came before us.
Mhm.
And so every time we give ourselves something that our mother couldn't give herself, we're actually healing backwards and forwards. And I like that tip because I want everyone to know that we are all connected, and giving yourself more of what you want always opens the door for more people.
Mm. Oh, Rachel, that's so beautiful. I love all of your words and the way that you speak them. I know them intrinsically, and yet for me, I could not have said that as beautifully as you did. And to all my readers, I apologize, readers, listeners, I apologize for not having read Rachel's book yet, but I'm going to, because I would like to speak to the concepts in it. And yet, I know that you're sharing them with us right now as we speak. One of the things, like on your little outline, and that I also would like to speak about is bridging the gap from where you are to where you want to be, because I feel that is of vital importance to those. Again, my message is to women in midlife and beyond. Not that my messaging and yours can go to anyone, of course, but so many of us are stuck in, and I'm not there anymore because I know what's next for me, but in what's next and how can I bridge the gap to get to where I'm going to go, before I'm 70 or 80 or beyond. What are some tips around that?
Okay. Tip number one is let yourself be real about what it is you really want. And sometimes that can be a challenge. So I'm going to share a quick little exercise that you can do. It's so powerful. I learned this from Rachel Rogers, who is a brilliant woman. She wrote a book, We All Should Be Millionaires. If you have any worry about any social issue about being a millionaire, grab that book. What you do is you just private, just between you make a list and you say, if I were going to be really bad, like if I was going to be a bad girl, what would I do? And just write it down. And you will start to see that not only are probably most of the things on the list not actually bad, but they are things you can give yourself. Everything we want it because we think and believe that it'll make us feel good when we have it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are so ingrained with you have to work really hard in order to deserve the thing you want. So we often actually work harder than we need to, longer than we need to. And so the trick about bridging the gap is letting yourself actually tell the truth about what you would love, write down what you would love, and then write down how you'll know when you have it. Like, how will you feel? What will be different? And whatever those things are, what you'll have, how you feel, what will be different, that's actually like a sacred to-do list, because there are many things on that list that you can start giving yourself right now. And then that becomes the path to getting whatever the thing is.
Mm. It's, as I've learned from other people and experienced, it's knowing the vibration and feeling the feeling that you really desire so that you bring it into your own personal energy space vibration. And as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, that's right. And I know that, and I don't do it enough. And I think it's really important what you desire, why you desire it, and the emotion behind why you desire it, and really feel that. Oh yeah, I see myself flying first class or business class or
Yeah, but let's take that one. Let's take that one. Just as a perfect example. So let's say something you want is, let's say you want $1 million in the bank. And one of the reasons why you would like that is because and how you'll know you'll have it is you'll be flying first class everywhere. And let's say that desire does not match what it currently says you have in your bank account.
that would be true.
No problem. What we do with that, we say, no problem. It's on the way. And of that desire of flying first class everywhere, what could you do now? And so for some of us, that might be, okay, I'm going to pay the extra $45 for extra leg room. Just, what aspect of that can we have now?
Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna buy a drink, or I'm gonna what, at the plate, start giving yourself the pieces of it now so that you start feeling the feeling of abundance now and more will come.
Oh, I love it. That's so funny because, of course, extra legroom is a lot more now than it used to be. And I am flying east next week for a reunion, and I upgraded. It was like $100 though. It wasn't 45, for the extra leg room now. And I thought, okay, should I, shouldn't I? And you know what? I just did it. So I started. Yay.
Congratulations. And how good did you feel about that investment? I mean, you haven't even experienced it yet, but
I felt great. I felt great because
yes,
I just did it on the way back because I knew I'd be exhausted. And I thought, I just want to treat myself a little bit. So,
this is a part of abundance. And for the part of our brain that wants to say that's ridiculous and that's not the path to $1 million, I want to say to that part of our brain, I hear you. That's our survival mind. I've been there and I still go there. I'm at this level now and on my way to the next level. We hit these things and it's our nervous system trying to keep us safe
yeah.
because we will choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven
Mm.
if we don't be deliberate about what we're choosing.
Oh, that is a beautiful way to end. That is such an inspiring statement right there. I am so appreciative. Oh, there's so much I could talk to you about forever, but we're going to end now and encourage everyone to purchase your book and learn more about you. Anything you feel called to share with us? You've already given us some wonderful nuggets and tips, but if there is anything you want to leave my listeners with to help them ignite their spark.
Yeah, I'd like to leave you with this. Loving ourselves and changing the entire trajectory of our life doesn't need to take a long time. It can be really gentle, 3 minutes a day of being just a little sweeter to yourself and trusting that not only are you worthy of more love always, but everyone you know will receive more love through you saying yes to you first.
Mm, very special. Very special. Thank you for saying yes to me and being on this podcast.
Oh my gosh, such a pleasure. I'm so excited that we had this conversation and I'm psyched to be connected to you.
Yeah, me too. I really am. Our heart sparks are definitely connected, and I hope to continue the relationship because you're very special, and I appreciate the gifts that you shared with my audience today.
Thanks,
Thank
Kim.
you. Thank you. And to all of you listening, really love yourself. Self-love is so important. And I encourage you to check out Rachel. I'll put all of her information in the show notes. Rachel, do you want to share your website so that someone listening might want to just hear it as well?
Sure. And all the things are also on the website. It's rachelmadorsky.com and it's Rachel Madorsky with a Y.
Okay. Madorsky. So everyone
Yes.
go check her out immediately when you finish this podcast. And thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing this episode. And if you are inspired to have not done so already, I would certainly appreciate if you follow me, subscribe, comment, and if I'm as good as your Uber driver, give me a 5-star rating because I would like to get out there and ignite more sparks. That is all. The end. I want everyone to shine their light. So as we end, I want to say thank you for shining because the world needs your light. And I'll see you next time.